I'm going solo tonight. Don't expect the bang bang and the pistols and stuff like that. I just ain't doing it. Let's get into it. My boy Yves, my partner in crime, is not feeling well tonight, so I'm doing the solo run tonight on double barrel shotgun. We'll still get the same topics as usual, and give the fantasy insider of the week. Yves sent his picks in of who he likes for this weekend's games, which players he likes, and things will still be running as normal, but I won't have Yves to kind of bounce things off of. So let's get into it. We'll just recap last week's games, and we'll start with Washington, Philadelphia. Crazy game. Philly winning by a field goal. It was it had everything in it. Some scraps on the sidelines, a big melee. Deshaun Jackson, kind of sticking it to Philadelphia for a little bit. Yeah, bit everything. Foles taking some big hits. Cousins playing great. So when it's all said and done, I must admit I didn't think Washington would be that competitive, but they held their own, and we'll see how things play out for Washington moving on. But Philly now goes to 3-0. And we'll see what happens with them next. But so far, their offense has been clicking on all cylinders. The defense is a little suspect at times, but we'll see if they can get that together. The second game, actually, I'll wait for that one next. The second game we picked, Green Bay and Detroit. Green Bay versus Detroit. By the way, we both had Philly last week, Eve and I. But Green Bay and Detroit. This one is I had Detroit. He had Green Bay. Lions win. The Lions definitely showed a little more on defense. They're going after Rodgers pretty good. You gotta wonder if you're a Packers fan what's going on with the Packers offense. Either side of the ball hasn't looked great, to be quite honest with you. I mean, the defense has had their lapses as well too. I think they were down 21 the week before against the Jets. So Packerland might be a little bit nervous these days. They seem to be a bit out of sync. There in Detroit, looking strong so far. I mean, they're 2-1, but we'll see. I mean, I still like them as one of my wild cards. I think I had Green Bay win the division, but I wasn't sold on Green Bay. And Detroit, I think, has maybe arguably the most talent in the entire division. So we'll see. Last game was a doozy. Rematch of the Super Bowl in Seattle. Denver came up there. They were getting it handed to them pretty good in the first half. Seattle, they just felt confident they could just beat this team. Second half, mostly in the fourth quarter, Manning got going when they quickened up the pace. Got a couple quick late scores, and of course scoring right near the end of the game to tie it up at 20 apiece. And then Seattle showed why they're the champs. They came down, just ran it right down, Denver's throat. Just moved the ball just with ease in my mind. You saw the poise of Russell Wilson on display, and they ended up winning 26-20. We both had Seattle. I must admit, we both thought it would be a much more, a much less competitive game since they were playing in Seattle. But hey, man, kudos to Denver for not folding when things were looking a little bleak, down by 2 scores. So those were just to round up the picks right there. Once again, we ended up going. I ended up going 3-0, and Yves 2-1. So not a bad week for either of us. Now let's move into the big 3 for this weekend. So we had a couple of different options we're gonna go with. First game I'm gonna start with is Carolina and Baltimore. Carolina-Baltimore is going to be a very interesting game to find out who's for real and who's not for real. Carolina, even though they're 2-1, they've had their moments where they've looked really good. They have their moments where they haven't looked great. Like last week against Pittsburgh on Sunday night, they just got dealt with, manhandled every which way. Considering they were playing at home, was not a good look. I expect them to bounce back a lot better this week against Baltimore. Baltimore, I'm not sure what to make of them just yet either. So I think this is the enigma game to find out who's for real and who's not. I like Carolina this week as a bounce back because they got beaten so bad. I'm still not sold on Baltimore, on their side of the ball. So we'll see how things play out on that one. Next game, Philadelphia at San Francisco. This is a huge game for San Francisco. They're 1-2. Um, they've let games get away. The Chicago game they really should have won. They let that game slip away. And then last week, Arizona just kind of just dealt with them, just looked like the superior team from the jump. So in my mind, this is one of these bounce back games where San Francisco needs a win. They can't be giving up too many games at home. Philadelphia's coming to town after a big win against Washington. They're 3-0. This looks like a win for San Francisco. So I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I've rolled with 49ers for a couple of weeks straight. I'm gonna stick with San Francisco. They're gonna get the 2-2. I think there's the first loss for Philly. They've won, but they haven't looked convincing in a lot of their games. So I think San Fran bounces back this week. Our final game that we had focused on was going to be Dallas versus New Orleans. In Dallas, we're going to find out again. This is find out who's for real game. New Orleans struggling a bit. They need a win badly. Dallas, we're going to find out if they're for real or not. They're 2-1. People didn't expect them, including myself and Yves. We thought they'll be dead last in the division. That still may be the case when it's all said and done. But right now, things have held up okay on the defensive end, and they're controlling the ball nicely with the run and some short passes to keep the defense off the field. So it's a twofold result for them. So my head says Dallas, but my heart just feels like New Orleans is going to bounce back. And I think this defense is going to get exposed at some point. I think this is the week. So I'm going to take New Orleans, maybe a slight upset. I doubt it at this stage of the game, but it may be. I like New Orleans, man. It's kind of like, pseudo indoors, it's on turf. They're a fast team that plays well on turf. I think they're just going to slice up Dallas pretty nasty. So I'm gonna go with that. I mean, I think last year they played, it was not pretty, and I suspect this year it may be the same thing again. So give me New Orleans. So here's how it wraps up. So give me New Orleans, give me San Francisco, and give me Carolina. So I'm taking all NFC teams this week. So that's it for the big three. Now for the topic of the week. This week in the NFL. I'm going to go with something fun. There's been some heavy stuff lately, so I'm not going to get into, Goodell Gate and Ray Rice Gate and all that. We're going to go into some fun stuff. 3 teams left are undefeated. Arizona Cardinals, the Philadelphia Eagles, and from the AFC, the Cincinnati Bengals. So just want to ask you guys out there, who do you like? Which team you think is a contender, which one you think is a pretender of the 3? Who can you see in a Super Bowl in January or February? When it's all said and done, Cincinnati, Arizona, or Philadelphia. Most of you might, who knows, maybe some of you say none of the above. But right now, so one of these 3 teams are on pace to have home field, have at least a 1 or 2 seed in their conference, and we'll see how it plays out. I mean, at the moment, my bet is right now. I gotta say, even though I picked them to lose this week, I think overall, I think Philadelphia can do some damage. I think if you look at their schedule is tough, but you see their own division. They can run the table in their own division. They got a shot for a 1 or 2 seed, and considering how right now, you assume that Seattle will be a 1 or 2 seed, at least potentially the 1 seed. I can see Philly getting that 2 seed, and because of Green Bay flopping around, Chicago. I know their record they're 2-1, but I don't really feel scared of Chicago. Detroit's kind of in the mix too, and San Fran kind of struggling at the moment. Arizona does look good, but I'm not really sold on them either. I think Philadelphia's the team right now to look for in the NFC. And Cincy, as far as the AFC, I don't trust Dalton. Said it from the beginning, the AFC preview. I think that when push comes to shove and it gets late in the season and games start getting tough and tense, I don't have much faith in Andy Dalton. So I like Philly to be the team to be the closest to being a true contender. The defense is still a little suspect, a little concerning to me, but overall, I think Philly's the team of the 3 that seem to be the one that could go the distance. Well, Yves is not here for his fantasy insider, so he gave me some picks this week, and I'm just going to quickly just pull it up here so I have it in front of me. So sorry for the rudeness of looking down here while I got it on my phone. So let's see, who does he have this week? So he has Le'Veon Bell from the Steelers, and that's his first pick of the week. Yes, has him thinking of going for 24 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, he believes, against Tampa Bay. As a Steelers fan, I love that. I don't see it happening, though. I think, he shares a load quite a bit, with Blunt, but we'll see what Tampa does. Tampa might force in the pass, which may not be good for Tampa as well, too, but I think overall though, I think Blunt. I think Bell is a good pickup because I think the Buccaneers have looked atrocious on the run. I think they look better than what they did against Atlanta on Thursday. So don't expect to see that again, especially playing. Especially getting after getting about 10 days of rest. We'll see how they look. His number 2 is Phillip Rivers against the Jaguars. And anytime you get the Jaguars on the schedule, whoever's the opposing quarterback is about to be barbecue chicken time. So he's got Phillip Rivers throwing for 245, 3 touchdowns against the Jaguars. And considering that he put up so many, I think 2 or 3 touchdowns against Seattle, you gotta think he might be good for at least 3 touchdowns against Jacksonville. That team is just atrocious right now. I don't know. I mean, we could be seeing our first firing. I mean, it's gonna get ugly pretty quickly down there in North Florida. The last one, Zach Ertz, 8 catches, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Niners. You know what? It's possible. Philly likes to open it up. We'll see how it goes. I think that game's going to be a bit of a shootout, against San Francisco. So I think these are 3 good, solid picks. Next week, we'll see what Yves has to say about that and some other picks next week. Hopefully, he's going to be healthy and ready to go. But that's your fantasy insider for this week. So Le'Veon Bell from the Steelers, Phillip Rivers from the Chargers, and Zach Ertz in this case from Philadelphia, the Eagles. So that's the fantasy insider. And once again, guys, I had to do this one solo, but hope to have my boy back next week so we get back into some good discussions. But thanks for all the support you guys are giving us. Once again, subscribe above, give your comments below. And also, you can find me on Twitter at Beyond Locker Room, short form RM. And also, you can find my boy Yves at Y Charlem. So that's all we have for this week. Look forward to talking to you guys next week. Take care. Peace.